Jungle music started in the UK in the early 90s. Fast breakbeats, heavy bass lines, chaotic rave energy. It was the sound of warehouses and pirate radio. And if you grew up on PlayStation, you probably heard jungle without even realizing it. Games like Wipeout, Ridge Racer, even Gran Turismo 2, their soundtracks carried that same high-speed energy. Now jungle's having a comeback. DJs drop it in clubs, producers flip it for TikTok, gamers blast it for nostalgia. It's messy, it's fast, and it makes you move. Here's my take, a little jungle beat I cooked up. I actually started this track with the pads. First I wrote a simple chord progression to set the vibe. Then I wanted to expand and stack 4 different pads to make the sound more full and ethereal. The presets I used were Deeper Whisper Plus, Aeronaut, String Pad Maker, and Warmth. On their own they sound decent, but when you layer them together it creates this big, dreamy texture that sits behind everything else. To glue them together, I added some compression, EQ, reverb, and a little delay. Then I routed all 4 pads into a pad bus and put even more processing behind it. After the pads, I built the bass. I actually layered 2 different bass sounds to get the right balance. For the low end, I used Subsonic 2 as my sub bass. That's handling the really deep frequencies you feel more than you hear. I kept it clean, just added a little EQ and Fruity Stereo enhancer to make it sit in the mix. On top of that, I added a unison saw bass for the mid-range. This is where you get the growl and the movement. For effects, I used 2 EQs and a touch of chorus. I also cut everything under 120 Hz so it wouldn't clash with the sub. Together, the sub fills out the bottom and the saw covers the mids. Layering them makes the bassline sound heavy but also clear. It cuts through the pads without muddying the low end. After locking in the bass, I moved on to the drums, because jungle lives and dies on breakbeats. I went through my kits and grabbed 2 clean, modern sounding breaks. I didn't stack them on top of each other. I used one as the main break and brought the other in later to switch things up. The main break already had a strong kick and snare that hit hard, so I didn't need to overprocess it. That's why I picked it. It had that punch right out of the box. I just chopped the breaks so that I could place hits exactly where I wanted them, instead of looping the same bar over and over. That keeps the drums alive and gives the track that chaotic jungle energy, while still staying tight with the bass line. To tie the whole track together, I added a few extra elements. In the intro, I dropped a random old school vocal I found. It says something along the lines of,
"You see here, kid? You gotta just go for it. Don't think about what comes after or what came before. You just gotta bend your knees, take a deep breath, and jump. And you might think, what if I fall? Well, what if you don't? What if you fly?"
I also used a low-pass filter automation on both the pads and the breakbeat, so they fade in slowly and build tension. Underneath that, I layered some white noise to give it texture, and I added filter sweeps and effects, both in the drop and the outro, to make the transition smoother. For the last bars, I stripped it down to just one pad, a different breakbeat, and the sub, kind of like an outro variation that lets the track breathe. And for the hook, I added a piano melody with heavy delay and reverb. That gives it a bright, almost jingly feel that cuts through all the chaos and makes the hook stand out.